naked when y'all got the screen on you either. I don't want to see. I don't want to see no butts walking across the screen. I know, right? This is not an X-rated show here.
Respect the talk, respect the talk. 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 Respect the talk.
Hi folks, this is Jerry B from Pride and Glory Travel. Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Cook, Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, we have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone. Get your rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me. 920-265-8143. And come. We'll see you at sea, y'all. Hey there, folks. How we doing? Welcome to another episode of Respect The Talk. This is Jerry B in the house here, you guys. Glad to see you. Hey, you know what? Before we get started here, with this show here, we get back to my nephew in a minute, because before we get started this show here, we want to tip our hats down and our prayers up for the Dolly Parton family. We lost a great one today, this afternoon, and one amazing woman. And I tell you, she's just one of a kind. And it's just so weird because she had just opened up a restaurant that was similar to Buc-ee's, but right over a highway down in Tennessee, and had a lot of people working. I mean, she was so respected by so many people in the world, you know, and her and all the work she's done down here in the area for the kids and stuff. She's just an amazing woman. Passed away at 80 years old today. So, you know, we're our thoughts and prayers are going out to her and the whole family. You know, so at least that I need to make sure we got that said before we even start our show. Now, back to our show. What's up, Junior's in the house? How you doing? Uh-oh, I lost your volume, man. Uh-oh.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
A little bit of technical
Sound like that
difficulty.
AT&T crap. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Well, loving your background with the big Christmas tree back there. You need to come back and decorate that damn thing this year.
Yeah. I came, I had a couple of days off, made a surprise visit, checked out the folks, and hanging out with your brother and your sister-in-law.
Your dad and mom.
Yeah. I said
that-
with my folks and your brother and sister-in-law.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. Okay, you did say that. How was your weekend, man? How's the family and everybody else doing though?
Everybody's doing good. Part of the reason for coming up here was the wife came up to visit her mom, and she was taking care of her for so long. She came back to kind of check in on her.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Kiki's a sweetie. She's a good one. Yeah, she's got a good one. You got a good one.
I agree.
Tell her don't forget about me, because I'm getting up there in age. She can come down here and bring her down and take care of my little old butt.
Hey, our doors are always open. You got to do something pretty bad in order to get on our bad side.
I mean, your door's open. I don't need your doors open. She got to come down to my door because I ain't traveling that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
She wouldn't argue that at all.
Oh, down there
So
in Florida, I'm sure
you
she
in
would.
sunny Florida.
Yeah.
You
I
in
know
sunny
she,
Florida.
yeah.
We in near Detroit. So yeah, that'd be an easy
She'd be
trade
like,
for
oh,
us.
yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. And she be leaving your ass behind. Man. It's good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man.
Absolutely.
Let's get this show on the
Absolutely.
road here, man. All right, welcome back to Respect the Talk, y'all. I'm Jerry B, and as I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. Before we get into it, you guys, I had to do some adjusting in my house here because we moved, and the studio moved, and everything moved, and so did I, and only God knows what's going on. But before we get into it, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode because around here we're not afraid to have the conversation. We may not all agree, but that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to be willing to talk to Jim. He's willing to listen to you. And today we got some stuff that I think is going to make you stop and say, wait a minute, what? So let's get into it, Jim. Come on, talk to me, bro.
All right, I'm gonna need your help because I can't pull my script up. More of those technical difficulties from not being in my home studio. But one of the things I know we're covering is Trump's well, not new, but Trump's aide. What's her name? Help me out.
Yeah, Natalie, what the heck was her name? Natalie
Natalie
somebody.
Cuckoo.
Yeah,
Natalie
Natalie
Cuckoo.
Harp, Natalie Harp.
Natalie Cuckoo.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Musical.
Natalie Harp. Yeah, cuckoo. Yeah,
Um, we're gonna talk about her role and how much influence she has and how much influence she should have. We're also going to talk about our economy. Who's to actually blame, especially when we start talking about we have a $40 trillion debt. So, can we really put it all on this administration and the Republicans in general? Do the Democrats play a large part in this?
yes, indeed.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect the talk. Respect the talk. Respect the talk.
Got to bring that screen down. All right, folks, we're back again here. My Lord, I tell you, we got a great show coming your way. So I'm just trying to get ourselves organized here because, like I said, I got got a new setting in my household, which kind of like, okay, look what's going on there. But anyway, we're glad to be here with you. So this is what's getting weird, folks. We're gonna talk about this, right, James? We're gonna get into it because this is really, really weird. Okay, you have to admit now. I know you guys heard about this. The Natalie Harp situation with the president is strange, and I'm not even talking about the rumors or the speculation about their personal relationship. I'm talking about what we're actually seeing and reading. Okay, because now we're seeing these letters reportedly written by Harp to Donald Trump. And the language is incredibly personal. She reportedly wrote, "You, you are all that matters to me," and talked about not wanting to ever let him down. Now, think about that for a second, folks. We're talking about presidential aide, somebody who's apparently become a very important gatekeeper around the president, writing this kind of deeply emotional personal correspondence to the person she's working for. That's where I start asking questions. Because there's a difference between loyalty to your boss and personal devotion to your boss. And when that person is the president of the United States, the stakes are completely different. The Daily Beast has reported that Harp has become a significant gatekeeper around Trump, including helping relay information and messages to him. And there have been questions raised about her access influence. Okay. So now I'm sitting here thinking, where are the professional boundaries? Because that isn't somebody working in a normal office. This is the White House. And when one person becomes that close to the president, that question isn't necessary. Are they having an affair? It's not necessarily are they having an affair. That's speculation. The question is, I think we should be asking, how much influence should one aide have over a president, and who is making sure that influence is being handled appropriately? That's the conversation. But I mean, you think about this now because this man, and I know you're thinking about this, James. This man has been sued for sexual assault, um, all kind of other crazy stuff that's got to do with young women. And here you got this aide with her devotion and all this other crap. And you think what they did with Bill Clinton when that happened. We've been down this road before, folks. We've been down this road before. You see what happens with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. And to sit there and just blow this off like it's nothing. It's mind boggling. What do you think, James?
We gotta really introduce our listeners to her. We gotta go back to um, reports of her having cancer. And once the doctors did what they were going to do and declared she was cancer free, she didn't thank God. She didn't thank the doctors in the hospitals. She thanked Trump,
Yeah.
even though he had nothing to do with it.
No, absolutely zero.
She wrote him all types of personal letters, even before she became part of his administration. She wrote him all kinds of personal letters. And even his own intelligence agencies, when trying to vet her, said that she posed a credible threat. How did she get to this point? Now, fast forward all these years later, the first time I really heard about her, it was because she was the woman who walked around with a printer that would just print out things that would encourage and make him feel good about himself.
Right. Yeah.
That was
right.
her whole job. She had a portable printer, and that's what she would print out and hand to him whenever he was feeling down or depressed,
Right. Yeah.
or whatever she thought he needed some motivation.
A lift up or something stupid. Literally a lift up.
She's his main connection, incoming and outgoing means, outgoing information. This is scary.
It is.
When you're talking about someone who basically intelligence agencies have already said is a bit unstable.
Right.
And whether he likes to call himself a stable genius or not, most of us don't see him as very stable. That's two unstable people with a whole lot of power. That's scary.
Yeah.
And now to add to it, and part of the reason why the speculation has become so great, we've all heard the story about his visit to Turkey and how the Turkish politicians said, "Hey, we've received information of a credible threat against the plane. The Iranians are planning on bombing the plane."
Right. Yeah.
He didn't tell anybody. He didn't warn anybody. He didn't even pretend like he wasn't getting on the plane. He got on the plane, said, waved goodbye, normal photo op, getting on the plane, and then he snuck out the back in a catering truck. And the only person who knew about it and went with him is this woman.
Yeah, Natalie Harp. And a couple other people went with him, but still, yeah. I mean,
no, the reports that I showed or heard about was she was the only person that he took with her.
Yeah, see, I thought there was two guys with them, but that's it's irrelevant. I mean, why would she? You send Marco Rubio on the plane that can be blown out of the sky, who's your Secretary of State, and you take this chick with you. That's why I say, people they don't want it. They White House wants to sit there and argue. Oh, you made it sound so nasty. No, you made it sound nasty because you hanging around this 25-year-old girl doing the things that you guys are doing, and she's pouring her devotion out for your butt, and you talking about we're making it sound weird, and with your background, we're not making it sound weird.
Yeah, and we're talking about all kinds of different things that have come up. You know, her her resemblance to Ivanka Trump, his daughter, the one
Who he
that he
thinks so
said
was so
he would
sexy.
have had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's a lot there. There's a lot of things to make you really think. This is unhealthy.
Well, and you know how much they lie, so she and how devoted she is to him. So she's gonna lie, and he's gonna definitely lie because that's just, every time he opens his mouth, he's lying. So they could be doing all kind of freaky deaky stuff, and nothing's gonna happen because she's so devoted to him that she can't stand to disappoint him ever. Which she said, "I cannot stand to disappoint you." So now you're sitting up here trying to tell me they're not doing something crazy. It's like, come on, folks. I'm not an idiot here. If that was me, everybody be pointing fingers at me. They do it to your bosses and they tell everybody, even at your bosses, that you don't fraternize that type of relationship, even in your job with your bosses, your secretaries and your bosses don't go out to dinner and hang out like that because it's inappropriate. They say that's inappropriate behavior in a regular job spot. Here and right here in the White House, and it's like, come on, really?
Exactly,
Well, you know
exactly.
what's freaky? Here, let's talk
And like
about
I
this.
said,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and like I said, you're talking about one unstable person dealing with somebody else who's unstable, dealing with a whole lot of power. This
Right.
is this is not safe.
Yeah.
And I, like you said, I don't care about the possibility of an affair. That just like I didn't care when Clinton had his sexual
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
situation.
No. Exactly.
That was between him, her, and their wives
I
at this
use that
point.
analogy because of how much this country lost their mind over the Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky thing. I mean, the Republicans want to impeach them. They did everything they can. I mean, they lost their minds, but yet they think this is okay, and they want to be and try to and blow this like it's nothing. And
Yeah,
that's why I'm using a comparison because again the hypocrisy of the Republican Party thinking this is okay, but yet they bitched at Bill Clinton and wanted to hang him.
yeah, yeah. It was a huge ordeal. I mean, that's been almost 40 years now, I think, and we're still. You can still say Monica Lewinsky and talk about a cigar, and everybody in the room would giggle.
Exactly. Because how much they made an issue out of it, and now they don't want people making an issue out of this situation. They want everybody to blow past this, like, oh, there's nothing there to see. There's nothing there to see. BS, and I call BS on there, and that's why I keep bringing up that comparison, just because of that. But here's something that blows my mind because if you thought that was weird, how far are you willing to go? Now, this is where I said, okay, what? I mean, literally, what? Because according to CNN reporting back in 2023, Natalie Harp, I don't know if you heard this one, but Natalie Harp was supposed to accompany Trump to a New York court appearance. There wasn't a seat available for her in the motorcade. And after reportedly arguing with the staff, she ended up climbing into the trunk area of the SUV. I mean, the trunk, not an SUV. This is a car, the Beast. So it wasn't an SUV like there was a back area. It was a trunk area of the SUV, so she could go, so she could still go. CNN reported that the incident was backed up by photographs reviewed by its reporters. They showed this with this girl doing this. Now, listen, you don't have to be a Trump supporter, a Trump critic to look at this and look at that and say that's unusual. I mean, come on, that has got to be unusual. I mean, how badly do you have to want to be around your boss? That's the part that gets me because we're not talking about somebody saying, "Hey, can I ride with you?" There wasn't room. Most people would say, all right, I'll meet you there. But instead, according to the reporting, she found another way to get there. And then you combine that with these deeply personal letters that have now come out. And I understand why people are looking at the whole situation and asking questions. But let me be clear about something. Asking questions is not the same thing as claiming we know what's happening behind closed doors. We don't know that. We really don't. What we do know is that the behavior being reported is usually the relationship appears extraordinarily close, and Harp has a level of access to the president that deserves scrutiny. And that's enough to have a conversation about, because when you're talking about the president of the United States, professional boundaries matter. Now, the reason I'm gonna say this here is because this sounds to me. I know you and the producer are way too young for this, but back in the day when I was a pimp, and all my other fellow pimps back in the day, you throw the women back in the back of the trunk and say, "I'll get your ass back there," I'm just teasing. I wouldn't do that, but I mean, there's
You had me worried for a second there.
no, I never did nothing because I had nothing but respect for the women in the world. That's just me. But I mean, you've heard stories or TV shows of men treating women like that and looking to say, "Look what I can do to this girl. Look at her. I make him drive and lay in the back of a trunk of a car." I mean, it's just. I'm sorry. This is sick. This is sick to the utmost. This is just sick. And I don't see how anybody would say, Natalie, you're not climbing in the back of a trunk to get to our next stop. We're not allowing that. Take a cab, take anything. That's just ridiculous. That's uncanny. You just don't do that. But nobody stopped her. They just allowed her to do it. And they probably were sitting up front in the beach just laughing, talking about, look at this dumb broad, man, climbing in the back of the car because she got to be behind. That bad.
Right. I mean, it's not even a matter of her being needing to get to the same location as him. She had to be so close to him that she felt it acceptable to ride in the rear compartment of an SUV.
Yeah. I mean, and I
We're
mean,
not
it's
talking about a second or a third row of seats. We're talking about that area behind the last row of seats.
right. And now, mind you, we screamed. Now, here's the grift here. Because had that been anybody else, the police would pull them over and give them a ticket because you personally can't. That's in one illegal because you get a ticket because there's no seatbelts back there. So they don't. That is really not allowed. So if they got into an accident, she'd be put in harm's way. If somebody hit her from the rear, she'd be in harm's way because guess what? There's no seatbelts back there. There's no airbags back there. So how is this legal, for them to do that? I mean, the police get upset if you got riding your child in the back seat with no seat belts on. I mean, think about that. You get caught with a seatbelt on anywhere around here, they pulling you over to give you a ticket.
Yeah, but and just the dehumanization of it all.
Yeah,
Again, that's where people throw their luggage.
right. You're that
That's
little in our hemisphere that's all you're worth is like a piece of luggage and throw you in the back of a because you got to be back there. You got to be back from that bad.
and again, we have to take this at face value and remember, and I want to reemphasize who we're talking about. We're talking about a woman who his own intelligence agencies said posed a credible threat and shouldn't be that close to the president. So what are we doing here? This is all very questionable behavior and a questionable relationship. Like I said, what are we doing here?
I mean, but see, but we're not, and it's not just her we're talking about. We're talking about him because, again, he was charged with sexual assault. He still haven't came out that we know he was over at that island with Jeffrey Epstein messing with those young girls. So we know what kind of man he is. I mean,
Yeah,
that's proven track record. We know what kind of president this guy is. Well, he's actually not a president. He's a man, and I wouldn't say he's a man. He's a punk actually. But we've proven what type of person this guy is. And then you put him out there with a 25-year-old girl like that who is just totally mind blown over him. And we're supposed to like, oh, there's nothing there. I'm sorry, I
And
can't. I can't.
and again, we're talking about a man, you know, while we don't have any hard evidence, he's the only person mentioned in the E files more than E.
I know.
You know,
Exactly.
we really need to rename those files.
Right?
So, and then his, even if we ignore all that, we can listen to his own words. You know, everything from his conversations about his daughter on different shows.
Yeah, talking about I'll do her. She was my daughter. I'm like, what? That what you talking
Yeah.
about your daughter like that, dude?
To his conversations when it came to talking about women in, well, not women, but girls in his pageant that he controlled and owned.
Right.
You know, so through his own admission, his own words, we have reasons to suspect his, or to question his morality. And now you give him someone who's so enamored with him that she's willing to do anything for him.
Right.
There's a lot there. There's
And
a
those
lot
were
of
teenagers in the pageant.
yeah,
Those were teenagers. So I mean, how do you say, okay, these are teenagers, Jeffrey Epstein were kids, and you got this 25-year-old and you got Ivanka. All the stuff he does, his daughter, I mean, and all the stuff he does and says. And then all the stuff he said about in that locker room, or that they call locker room talk, that you can just grab a woman by the what's his name because I'm famous, and get away with it because what are they going to say? And then you tell us to ignore this thing with this Natalie Harp girl. It's like, wait a minute, the man that says you can grab a woman by the what's his name because he's famous and rich, really? And you want us to just like there's nothing there?
right, right. And
I'm
we're talking about young girls that may not have seen him in that light, you know, compared to someone like Natalie who does.
right.
She's willing to do anything for him.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
admittedly,
And she
through
and
her
she
own
says
words,
it, yeah, out of her own mouth. So I mean, give me no wonder Ivanka Trump isn't around.
Ivanka Trump, we don't see very much of Melania either.
Yeah, but exactly. You don't see Melania either.
So who knows? Melania may know about this, and that may be part of the reason why she's not around.
It could be, yeah. Or she probably think this is weird too with her. She like, you know what, this is just too weird for me. And she just bounced, but they're not gonna say nothing until he's out of office, and then all this shit's gonna hit the fan. And it's gonna all blow out there because now he can't run no more. And they're gonna say, see, this is what he was doing all the while. But anyway, you know what? Let's move on to another segment. You know what? Before we even do that, let's just take a quick break because the next segment might be a little bit it's a conversation I definitely want to take some time with you. So, all right, we'll be right back here, folks. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in 2 and 2. Don't you go nowhere. Get you something to drink. I don't care if it's soda, water, juice, whatever. Get you something to drink and we'll be back at you in 2 and 2. Hi, folks. This is Jerry B from Pride and Glory Travel. Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Coke Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, we have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone. Get your rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me. 920-265-8143. And come. We'll see you at Sea Y'all. Okay, we're back again here, folks, on another episode of Respect the Talk. My name is Jerry B. This is James Boo in the house, my nephew, y'all. Hey, okay, I'm going to say this, and I don't want you Democrats to start losing your damn mind out there, because I know a lot of you guys are going to start doing, but listen to this. This is what I got to say before you start losing your mind, okay? Because you got to listen to the whole thing here, and you'll understand where I'm coming from. Because this is about maybe Trump didn't divide us. You know what hit me the other day, and okay, because seriously, I was sitting up. They've been playing it all weekend. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, boo. But they've been playing the Michael Jackson "This Is It" show on TV, and at that time I had a little epiphany. I used to say Trump divided this country, and then I started thinking, maybe that's not exactly right. Why did I start thinking that? Because maybe Trump didn't create the division. Maybe he just learned how to use what was already there. Think about it. Think about it. Now, hang in there with me now. Because this country was divided long before Donald Trump ever came down that escalator. I mean, look, you look at the O.J. Simpson trial. Some people believed he was innocent. Other people were absolutely convinced he was guilty. And decades later, people are still arguing about it. Still, right now, today. And then you had Michael Jackson. Some people looked at those accusations and said, he's innocent. They just doing it for the money. Other people looked at the exact same situation and said, no way, he's guilty. And people weren't just disagreeing, they were choosing sides. That's the part we don't like to admit. Now, we're going to go even further back than that. If you think about slavery, because that's what the Civil War was all about. You know, one half of the country, the South, wanted to keep slaves. The Northern people wanted to abolish slavery. The country, again, was so divided at that time that we wind up killing each other over just being that divided. We were always learning how to look at each other as us versus them, always. Then Trump comes along and he figures out how to turn that division into a political weapon. That's the whole Barack Obama birth certificate controversy. Instead of bringing people together, it became another line in the sand, another us versus them. And that's what I mean when I say otherisms. Who's the other guy? Who's the enemy? Who's trying to take something away from you? And once you convince people that the other side is the enemy, you don't have to give them much else. Fear does a lot of work for you. And I think that's still happening right now today. But here's the uncomfortable part, folks. We can't put all of that on Trump because if the country wasn't already divided, there wouldn't have been such fertile ground for somebody to exploit. So maybe the question isn't did Trump divide America? Maybe the better question is why we so divided in the first place? Why were we so divided in the first place? And are we too far down this rabbit hole to find our way back? This conversation is for another day, but we're going to continue it right now with my nephew, Boo. What's up? What do you think about that, Boo?
What's going on, man? Again, I agree with you wholeheartedly that we've always had division in this country. We can go back even before the Civil War. We can go all the way back to the founding of this country.
Right.
Because at the time, half the country, half of the colonies wanted to stay under the king's rule.
Right. Yeah.
So we can go all the way back.
Yeah.
There was always people who felt like the Boston Tea Party took things too far. There was always people who said, no, we shouldn't revolt against the king. We need his protection, so on and so forth. So we can go all the way back.
Yeah, right, for sure.
And I'm sure if we found an archaeologist, he'd go back even further, all the way to the caveman days.
I'm sure.
There was some kind of glyphs on the wall that said it was us versus them.
Yeah, us versus them, right?
So that's just human nature.
Right.
But here's the rub. Here's where we're at today. Like you said, much like Hitler, Mussolini, and most of the other bad people that we can think of in world history,
right,
found a way to manipulate people based off that sense of otherism and the need to be part of a group at
Right.
the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
A group of like individuals, I should say.
Right.
Because if it was purely about being part of a group, then this country would see itself as the melting pot that you and I both grew up being told that this country was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no longer the melting pot. It's no longer that's no longer the dream and expectation of the American citizen. You are literally talking about, and this is I've heard staunch Democrats as well talk about, well, immigrants this and immigrants that.
Yeah.
So this he's managed to tap into a fear, a deep seated hatred of others that has actually crossed party lines.
Right. Yeah.
You
Well,
know, it's not a racial thing. It's not a party thing. It's 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 not even a patriotic thing. This is literally a human nature. We have to have a common enemy.
yeah, exactly. Us versus them. Otherisms. And he found a way to get people into that and and start pointing fingers at other people and try to say, okay, this is why I don't have a job, or this is why my life is so bad, or um, all this other crap. And it's like, it blows my mind because you got con people. That's what a con person does. They find ways to get into your head and they grind it into your head. That's how the what are the guys with the white sheets over their head? You get a bunch of those guys together in Ku Klux Klan. They get a bunch of stupid white folks putting sheets over their head, running around talking about, okay, look, dude, if it was that serious to you, take the sheets off. Why you hide behind sheets? I mean, what do you look like? You ain't like the Lone Ranger or something stupid like that, dude. But they found a common enemy, black folks, and they want to burn down a house and everything, but they want to do it in sheets. Well, that's all this is, the same thing, but now they're doing it in politics. They found their way into the political arena and found a different way to bring out this racial tonation. And I don't care how you slice it or dice it, it is racial, because here's the gift that gets me. Now, all these folks out here running around here talking about Mexicans this, Mexicans that, Mexicans this, Mexicans that, are flying their ass over to Mexico and hanging out for vacations. And they just, oh my God, look, and then they get over to Mexico and, oh my God, look at all these, how they taking care of us. Yeah, you love them over there, but you don't want them in your country. And that's crazy. And now he's picking a fight with Canada. I don't know if you've seen
Again,
that today. And Canada
again,
ain't having it. So now he done met his match on two fronts, Iran and now Canada. And the one prime minister of Canada, I watched him on TV the other day, and he literally blasted Trump. I can't, man, I don't know if you heard his speech, but he totally
yeah,
blasted Trump and said he can kiss my ass. I was cracking up, it's like, this dude, man, he just pissing everybody off.
he is. And we've said that over and over again since the beginning of this second term, since the beginning of our show. This guy has found a way to upset all of our allies and somehow, I'm not even going to say befriend our enemies or our
Yeah,
adversaries, because I don't even think that they see him as a friend. They see him as a gullible and usable stew.
right, exactly, yeah. And I don't, did you hear this one now? He's allowing Argentina beef to come in the United States so we can bring meat prices down. Now, wait a minute. Restaurants, I was listening to this one guy on TV. He was a politician or a commentator, natural Republican, but he owns a restaurant too. And he said, this is a great thing for us because because us restaurateurs don't have to pay those high prices now for steak that we can sell them. So you rather cut the nose off of the farm to cattlemen out here now. So now you're killing all your, guess what, your Texas friends, and they're in an uproar right now. The people over in Texas, the cattle people, because you just killed their business. You know, you're selling cheaper beef. So how are they supposed to sell their cattle there for beef?
Exactly. And
This
and I'll go one step further. This Argentinian beef that we're talking about getting now has been banned in at least 3 other countries for not being healthy and safe.
Yeah, because of the way they feed the cows. And that was right after he said something about helping the farmers. I mean, it's just, dude, and how are you guys supporting this? So you're gonna cut your nose off to spite your face is what he's doing. He's pissing off the cattlemen so he can get the beef prices down. Why? Well, I don't know why he's worried about, because all he does is eat McDonald's burgers. I mean, and that's high too. I ain't gonna lie about that. It's expensive too. But why would you even do that to the farmers out here? I mean, the cattlemen. I mean, that's just these cattlemen now. I can imagine they're losing their minds right now. I can imagine.
Sure. I'm
But what
sure.
he's going to do, mark my words, what he's going to do is he's going to bail them out with something, some type of funds to help them out, which is, guess what, our tax dollars. So he's going to use our tax dollars to bail those cattlemen out because they're going under because he brought cheaper beef over here, and the cattlemen
Well,
can't sell theirs.
here's the plan. Here's the plan. And personal prediction, not necessarily factual yet. But here's the plan. People are in an uproar about prices in general,
Right.
beef included. He's only recently heard about the complaints about beef in general.
Yeah.
He's heard about prices and going back to, pardon me, going back to talking about Natalie, probably something she sheltered him from.
Right.
But so he's only just now hearing about beef and pork prices being so outrageous and people being upset about it. Well, the midterms are also right around the corner.
Right.
So we have to get the prices down before the midterm. Once we get the prices down before the midterm, then the general masses are happy. Then we bail out the cattle ranchers and the meat farmers that are here in America through some undisclosed plan so far, which gets them back in his good graces because they're going to forget that the whole reason why they were in trouble was
Right.
because of him.
Right.
Because they've already forgotten that half of the reason why they're in trouble is because of the tariffs that he created. So they, at this point, it's not the tariffs; it's just that they're in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
So he's got the general masses back on his side because he lowers the prices of beef.
Right.
Then he bails out the farmers. Yes, and you're correct. With our money,
Yeah.
he bails out the farmers. And keep in mind, based on what we've already seen, it's only going to be select farmers
Well, yeah.
in red state.
Well, and plus, if you, I don't know if you noticed this, because you're right. He's doing it to the midterms because the Argentina beef is only allowed to enter the United States for, guess what, 60 days. That's 2 months, right in time for the election. After the election's over with, they go right back to not bringing that beef over here. Now you got the farmers trying to come back from what he just did for 60 days or 90 days or whatever
Right.
it is, September, October. Yeah, 60 days. So if you can look that up, yeah, it's only for 60 days, which is, guess what? The election period.
Yep.
It's a
Then
game.
he bails out the farmers, and the farmers are cheering his name because they forget why they were in trouble in the first place, just
Yeah.
like they did during the first
Because
term.
they got free money now.
Yeah.
Because they got,
So
but they don't want socialism. But they got free money.
exactly.
Go figure
So
that,
like I said, we see the writing on the wall. This is another plea to win the midterms so that he can keep doing his insanity.
Yeah, yeah.
And because if all projections hold true and the Dems take over both the House and the Senate, then that puts him in a position where he's no longer got free reign and able to do whatever he wants to.
Right.
And that also puts him in the crosshairs where now he can actually face repercussions for some of the things that he's done and is attempting to do now,
Right.
or will attempt to do even in his second term,
Right. Yeah.
or in the second half of his term.
Yeah.
So I think this Argentinian beef is all about bringing down the prices so that he can get the masses on his side again, so he can placate the masses.
Yeah, but people should still read through that. I mean, people should sure grab that beef, but don't. That's like buying your vote, And if people stupid enough to do that, then shame on you, because that's only a temporary fix, and it's not a real fix because some other people got hurt because of that. I mean, cows, 60 days on them, what are they going to do? Get fatter, So what's going to happen to those cows in 60 days and not being sold or slaughtered? They're going to get fatter. And that's still going to hurt the farmers because they got to feed them. And farm and the grain and stuff for the cows aren't cheap because they can't sell the cows because so something's got to happen. It's going to be an ugly situation, period. Because it's a bunch of stuff that rolls right into each other when that happens. But what do we know? We're just people that have a talk show host show here and talk about things to come.
Exactly. So I mean, we're looking at a whole lot of it. Like I said, it's speculation on my part, but I can see easily the writing on the wall that it is, like you said, to buy votes
Yeah,
for the sake
yeah,
of the midterm. It's not for the sake of the people. It's for his sake,
right.
to buy votes, to continue on with his pillaging of the American pocketbook.
Right. Yeah, because he's definitely having a ball with our money. Talking about, I'm a builder. Yeah, you building some crazy stuff, but with our money. It ain't your money because you probably would be building none of it with your money. But
Yeah,
let's talk about that because that leads. Go ahead. Go ahead.
absolutely. Reportedly, he and his family have earned more money. And when I say his family, I don't mean his cousins and uncles and all that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
him and his direct family, including his daughters through his son-in-law and his sons. Um, just between basically those 5 or 6 Trumps that we all know the name of
Right. Yeah.
have increased their wealth to the point of $40 billion. This
Yeah.
this is more than um, the last 10 or 15 presidents combined.
Yeah.
When you're talking about wealth increase while in office,
Yeah. Well, you know what? That you
this
know
is a
that
piece of the American pocketbook.
Yeah, it's American. Well, that leads us to our next segment, though. Talking about 40 billion, we're going to talk about this $40 trillion debt. Fault is it, and whose fault it is? All right, okay. Again, don't get mad at me because we talk about our Democrats too, because we talk about both here. But all right, now let's talk about a number that should make everybody uncomfortable. $40 trillion. The United States has now crossed the 40 trillion mark in gross national debt. The debt has roughly doubled over the past decade. Now, here's where I want to stop blaming one political party for a minute, okay? Because this isn't just a Republican problem, and it isn't just a Democratic problem. This is an American problem. We had Republican presidents add to the debt. We had Democratic presidents add to the debt. We had Republican controlled Congress. We had Democrats control Congress, and through all of this, the number keeps going up and up and up. So whose fault is it? That's the question. And here's another thing people get wrong. America doesn't owe all of this money to China. That's one of those things you hear all the time. No, it's BS. But according to the latest breakdown, roughly three-quarters of the debt is held domestically, while foreign holders account for a little over a quarter. That means American institutions, investors, retirement funds, banks, the Federal Reserve, and government trust funds are all part of this picture. China is a major foreign holder, sure. Japan is another major holder, but neither one owns anything close to the majority of America's debt. And that's important because it changes the conversation. Because we're not sitting here waiting for China to come collect $40 trillion in bills. We're borrowing from ourselves. We're borrowing from investors. We're borrowing from institutions, and we're borrowing from the future. And that last part is what bothers me. Not bothers me personally because I won't be here, but because eventually somebody has to deal with the consequences. Seriously, somebody's got to deal with it. And interest alone is now more than $1 trillion a year. Think about that, $1 trillion a year. We're spending more and more money just servicing the debt, money that could otherwise be going towards infrastructure, education, public safety, healthcare, whatever you believe should be a priority. So I'm not interested in hearing Republicans say the Democrats did it, and I'm not interested in hearing the Democrats say the Republicans did it, because at some point we've all got to grow up. They've all been in the room. And we've all got to ask ourselves the same question. How long can we keep kicking this can down the road before there isn't any road left? Because 40 trillion isn't a political talking point anymore. It's a warning sign. And the question isn't just who's to blame. The question is who's finally going to do something about it. Now, that's where we're going to have the issue at, because nobody's going to ever do anything about it. Our debt's going to keep growing and growing and growing. How do we get out of it? I don't know how we get out of it. I really don't. Clinton I think he was the last person that got us out of the debt, and we wind up with a positive surplus. You know, um,
No,
so, huh?
we had a surplus under Obama as well. He
Oh,
balanced
we
the budget.
did? We did. See, I
And
don't remember. Okay. Okay, then
yeah,
I'm going to have to look
we
that one
had a
up. So,
surplus under Obama and Clinton. Biden only served one term, and our numbers, even with COVID, has started to turn in a
but we weren't
positive.
out of debt. It was turning, but we weren't going out of debt. We weren't out of debt.
It was turning, um, which tends to be the Democratic trend. We get a turn, and if a Democrat usually is able to serve two terms, or at least throughout the last 10 presidents or so, if a
Yeah, but
Democrat is able to get a turn, we're able to at least, if not balance, then decrease the debt.
right.
It has been our current president, between this half a term he served so far and his first term, that is technically responsible for over a third of our
Yeah.
total debt.
Well, from the producer, you say to stop the credit. That may help. That's what the producers say. But no, what I'm saying is when Clinton left office, we were in a plus column. And then Bush got us in a war, which put us back in the negative again. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, when Obama was in office, it started to turn downward and trend downward where we were, decreasing the debt.
Right.
Clinton literally left us in a positive. We were not in debt when Clinton left office. Now, mind you, that was because of the internet boom, so that helped out a lot because he was in office when the internet kicked off and there was money coming in like crazy at that time. So, that helped us out. But we still had a surplus. We weren't in a negative. We've been in a negative ever since Bush took us into war with Iraq. And that's when the debt started increasing and more and more and more and more. And like I said, yeah, it started to come down, but they've been bouncing it all over the place because they've been trying to fix certain issues and certain problems that was happening in the United States, which cost a ton of money.
Yes.
Obama came in and he had to fix George Bush's mess because if people remember, Bush left Obama. Man, I mean, the stock market had dropped, which which they don't give, and that's what I hate. They don't give Obama credit for that because when Bush left office, the stock market had dropped from, I don't know, it was like 15,000 all the way down to like 5 or 6,000. I mean, the stock market has crashed. I mean, silly crashed. Obama came in, he had to pull all the automakers out of debt, which he did, and bring those back up into it, and he saved them from going bankrupt. People remember that. Then when Obama left office, the stock market had hit 18,000. So people want to say, well, look what Trump did, because when Trump got in, he took it up to 25,000. Well, he was on the upswing from what Obama had did. But people,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
in Trump's first term. But people don't want to look at that. Obama had fixed the problem. Mind you, I'm not an Obama thumper. We talked about that too, folks. I'm not an Obama thumper. I've always told you that because there are some things he did that pissed me off too. But for the most part, he fixed that problem and turned this country around. And that was huge. He did. He turned this country around because we were in a very, very bad way. And you guys should give him
We
credit
were
for that.
we were in a full blown recession at the beginning of his term.
Yeah.
And by the time he came, he left office. We were not only no longer in a recession, but we were on an upswing. We were maybe not on a positive, but our budget had been balanced. Job growth had improved immensely. Um, yeah, we were on our way to becoming to going back into the positive.
Right. Right.
And then we get uh, Trump 1.0, and we he increases our deficit by the time he's out of office, our entire deficit, he can personally be accredited to a fourth of it.
Right. Yeah.
Now we're at a third of it that he can be accredited for. Our total our total country's debt. And we mentioned this a few months back. A few months back was the first time we were able to declare ourselves, or we needed to declare ourselves insolvent, meaning bankrupt.
Yeah.
And again, I don't understand how so many people that are his supporters can still think that he's a businessman when technically, just like most of his businesses, he's managed to bankrupt
Yeah.
this country,
And he's
or at least
and he's
bankrupt under his watch.
Yeah, he's bankrupting this country. Our producer says the PP loans didn't help. They gave too much credit. Housing market crashed to try to make some more money to keep transactions going. I mean, it was crazy out here. But you know,
And we got
it's
to remember with a lot of that stuff, um, the PP loans, um, there were a lot of people who got that money to try and help in the stimulus checks to try and help stimulate our economy. But that sort of stimulation can only go so far because most of the ones who couldn't afford to pay it back were the ones responsible to pay it back.
right, exactly,
Meanwhile, there were a lot of people who didn't need the money or didn't deserve the money in the first place, who who got millions in some cases,
right,
didn't have to pay it back.
right. Well, this,
We had a list of politicians who literally got millions
oh my God,
of
absolutely,
dollars
and they've always done
and
that.
didn't have to pay it back.
They've always done that. The politicians, this country, like I said, it's a matter of they just want to point fingers, and that's where we all falter at is pointing fingers. And again, back to the otherisms. I was having this conversation with somebody earlier today about the. This is changing topic here. I think it was the general manager or the owner of a team got caught with a prostitute. I can't today and or yesterday or whatever, and so he's got to pay $1,000 and spend 1 day in jail. And I was having this conversation about him, and I was like to this other person, I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going on in this household to make him have to go find a prostitute. Maybe he's not even married. I don't know nothing about this guy's life. So they said, don't that bother you? I'm like, no, because it has nothing to do with me. Because I don't get into that otherism and pointing fingers and judging others. And they said, well, you judge on some things. I said, I judge on things that mean something to me. But if it has nothing to do with me, I'm not going to judge somebody else's life. That's because it's not me to judge their life. I judge my life. I'm very judgmental over my life.
And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand and think that we're being what's the word I'm looking for? We're being hypocritical. I don't judge people's personal affairs.
Right.
I don't judge people's personal business
Right.
and their personal choices unless they affect the masses.
Right.
So, for example, I don't care if there's a cop who, say, joins the Ku Klux Klan. I personally don't care. That's him and his business.
Right.
However, he has to be able to leave and check that at the door.
Right.
Completely, totally. If he can do that, then it doesn't affect anybody but him and his family.
Yeah.
Him and his own personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
So I don't care about that. But that same police officer, if now when he rolls in his cruiser and he sees a black person, then automatically goes into he's a criminal, he's a thug, I hate niggers, this, that, then that's when it becomes an issue. His own personal choice, I don't care about.
Right. Yeah, that's your life, bro. That's what I say. If you want to be an idiot, that's on you. That's what I talk about. I say that about people who's racist. I'm like, you know what? That's your problem. It becomes my problem when you start talking stupid to me. Then I got an issue with it, or others, because then I got a problem with it. But if you want to sit there and act like an idiot yourself, so what this guy did. Like, I guess the point is, what this guy did. Am I for prostitution? I don't think any woman should have to belittle themselves that way to make ends meet. But at the same token, some women, that's the only choice they have, and unfortunately, if that's what they need to do, it ain't. It's not for me. It's not. I wouldn't want my kids doing it. But who am I to judge what this woman does on the street with her body? If she's okay with it, who am I to say it's not okay? And I guess I
Right.
got upset.
I'm in a situation like that, and let me help you out. In a situation like that, I think I'm against prostitution if she's being forced into it.
Right. Exactly. Thank you.
Into it, then I have a real serious problem with that.
Yes, absolutely.
But if she's under the mindset, hey, I like sex, I enjoy sex, I don't care who the sex is with, and I might as well make some money off of it because I'm good at it, then that's her. That's
or look, I need to do this so I can pay for my college. So once I get done and pay for my college and go off and be a doctor, this is done. I've seen that people do that kind of stuff. They got legalized prostitution in Vegas. So it's, who am I to knock what a person, again, it's just like abortion. It's not my business to get involved in telling a woman what they can do and what they cannot do with their body. As long as they're not forced into doing it, like you said, and that was the proper way to put that. As long as they're not forced into doing it, then I don't have an issue with it. Do I condone it? No. Do I like it? No. But hey, it's not my business.
Right, exactly. Would I want to see my sister or my daughter having to commit prostitution? No, absolutely
not. But but then it's
I don't drink or smoke, or any type of unprescribed drugs. You know, do I condone it? No. Do I want to see my daughter or my mother or sister doing it? No.
right.
But again, that's their personal choices.
But now going to the guy though, the NFL owner or the whatever the owner of the team was, now going to him, I don't know what's going on in his household. He might have not been married. I don't know. And like I told that person, this guy might have had a relationship with his wife because there are people got some freaky deaky relationships like that out there. Hell, there's people out there who are swingers, and doing that shit, which I don't get that either. But there's people out there with a relationship with she like, go for it, do what you gotta do, as long as you bring your ass back home. I mean, we don't know. I don't know the man's what's going on behind those doors to judge him for going out paying for sex. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I've joked around with my wife, and there's always a little bit of truth to the best jokes. I've joked around with my wife and said, if anything happens to her and she leaves this place before me and I get that itch, I'm going to a prostitute because I don't want to have to deal with another woman.
Right, I know,
And with the
right? Yeah.
prostitute,
Yeah.
and with the prostitute, I go there, I take care of my
And
business,
then back home.
and I'm done.
I ain't gotta feed him, I ain't gonna do shit.
Exactly. So we don't know. That could have been what his type of situation too, where it's easier, cheaper to just take care of my urges that way. So again, I'm not judging the guy. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. That's his personal business.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't affecting nobody but him and his personal life. So why could anybody be upset over it? I mean, I don't know why he did it. I don't. So anyway, that's where I left that conversation at. But hey, you know what? It's after 6, folks. We got to get up out of here. We had some great conversations today, man. We went from $40 trillion to sex. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but we did.
We kind of jumped into that one kind of weird way, sideways. Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, well, it was a conversation I had this morning that was bugging me because it's like, it wasn't bugging me, but it was something on my mind, So I just figured, let me talk to my nephew about it, and
Yeah.
let's talk about
Like
that a
you
little.
said, though, in a situation like that, all it is we're not judging people's personal decisions.
No,
As long as it doesn't affect other people and it's just you and yours, hey, you like it, I love it.
yeah, because it's for sure. All right, hey, bro, it was a pleasure, man. You enjoyed my brother and my sister-in-law, or your mom and your dad today. How long are you there for?
I got to be back at work up in Michigan tomorrow at 3.
Oh,
So
so you getting up in the morning? You going home tonight, or you?
early in the morning, it
Oh,
looks like.
okay, gotcha. All right, well, hey, man, you have a safe trip back home, and we'll touch base sometime soon.
And FYI, while I was here, in Michigan, it's really hard to find the iguanas. Here, not so much. So I got not one but 2 that's going back to Michigan with
Oh
me today.
snap! You picked up your couple of guava. That's why your butt came.
Well,
Yeah, Jared. Sorry, that's why he came down here.
That's why his butt came. Oh man! See, now the real deal comes out, man. See y'all.
you still are telling on me?
See, respect the talk land. All you folks out there in Respect the Talk land, this guy, you guys should call the rollers on him out right now to Respect the Talk land, because he's getting ready to transport some iguanas back over to Michigan. So you guys could snitch him out and have the police meet him at the border. So maybe they'll deport his ass over to Israel somewhere. Hey, you guys take care. We got to get up out of here. God bless you. We love you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Love y'all.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect